Hi guys. Today we're continuing with solving systems using elimination. In today's equations, one of the variables will not immediately cancel out. So we'll need to change the equation a little bit more than just multiplying by a negative. Here is our first example. Now again, if you remember from yesterday, our equations have to be in standard form, which these are, and we want one of the variables to have the same coefficient, that's the front number, but with different signs, so one positive, one negative. Currently in this problem, none of my variables have the same coefficient. If you look at the x's, I have a 2 and a 3. And if you look at the y's, I have a 1 and a -2. So as it stands right now, we cannot just add these together and have a letter eliminate. So what we'll need to do is we'll need to choose a letter to eliminate, and we'll need to multiply an equation by a number that's bigger than just a -1. Given the choice between eliminating my x's and my y's, and knowing that I have to create a common coefficient using only multiplication, I'm going to choose to eliminate my y's. I'm going to choose to eliminate my y's because if I multiply the top equation by 2, then my top equation will have a positive 2y, and my bottom equation will have a negative 2y. So remember, the goal is to get them to have the same coefficient. I'm not going to try to eliminate my x's because I can't change a 2 into a 3 using multiplication, and I can't change a 3 into a 2 using multiplication. So you got to pick which variable can you change into the other one. Now, when I'm multiplying that top equation by 2, I do have to multiply everything, so I need to distribute to all 3 places. So I'm going to do the 2 times the 2x, the 2 times the y, and the 2 times the 5. If you ever find that you're getting really, really weird answers and you just don't feel confident about the answers, go back and check and make sure that you distributed to everything. It's very common for us to forget to distribute to the number after the equal sign. Or if we're trying to eliminate the x, sometimes we forget to multiply the y. So just make sure that you distributed to all 3 terms. My new top equation has a positive 2y, and my bottom equation has a negative 2y. So I'm ready to stack those on top of each other and eliminate my letter y's. Remember, we're always adding, so 4 plus 3 gave me the 7, 10 plus 4 gave me the 14, and 2 plus -2 cancels out. I'm one step away from that first answer now. That's kind of the beauty of elimination, is once you've eliminated one variable, that next step is super easy. Now, from here, we're not done. Remember, your answer needs to be an ordered pair. So now that I have x equals 2, I'm going to plug that back into one of my original equations. And it doesn't matter which one you plug it into, so that's your choice. I'm going to plug it into the top equation because it has less numbers in it and there's no negative signs. So that's why I like the top equation. But if you like the bottom equation, plug it in there. So I put the 2 where the x was, so now I have 2 times 2 plus y equals 5. And so that's 4 plus y equals 5, and y equals 1. And now I'm ready to write my final answer. Don't forget, your final answer needs to be an ordered pair, so don't put x equals 2 and y equals 1. Write an ordered pair, x first, y second. So 2, 1 is my final answer. Let's try one more together before you attempt your homework. In this problem, again, I don't have any variables that are going to eliminate right now. 9 plus 3, that's 12. -5 and a -2, that's -7. So I don't have anything that's going to cancel out. So my goal now is to figure out which letter I can get to have the same coefficient, and then I can multiply one of my equations. Looking at the y's, because we eliminated the y's last time, I can't really do the y's because I can't change a 2 into a 5 using multiplication because 5 is odd. And I can't change a 5 into a 2 using multiplication because like 2 is smaller than 5. So probably don't want to eliminate my y's. Looking at my x's, I can change a 3 into a 9 using multiplication. 3 times 3 would give me 9. So I think I'm going to try to eliminate my x's. I'm going to multiply my second equation by 3. So I'll get 3 times 3 is 9. But we need to do one more thing because right now both of my x's are positive numbers. And so if I just multiply by 3, I'm going to get 9 plus 9, and that's 18. That doesn't cancel. So instead, I'm going to multiply by a negative 3, and that'll create a negative 9. And when you multiply by a negative, make sure that you are not only multiplying by the number, but also changing all of your signs. So it'll turn into a negative 9x, a positive 6y, and equal to a positive 6. So notice that all the numbers got multiplied by 3 and all of my signs changed. Now my second equation has a negative 9x and my first equation has a positive 9x. So I can stack them on top of each other and I can add straight down. It's always adding, right? 9 plus negative 9 is 0. That cancels. Negative 5 plus 6 is 1y. And negative 2 plus 6 is 4. And on this one, we don't even have to do anything else because we got the y all alone already. So y equals 4 is my first answer. And then you pick one of your equations. I would always use one of the original equations. The equation that you got by multiplying, those numbers are going to be pretty big. And you always run the risk of maybe you accidentally multiplied wrong. So I would always plug it back into one of these. Make sure you're plugging it into the right variable. So you want to plug it into one of the y's. It's another common mistake I see. I've made that mistake before where I've plugged it into the wrong variable and I accidentally solved for y twice. So make sure you're plugging it into the correct letter. I chose the second equation because the numbers were just a little bit smaller, right? I have a 3 and a 2 as opposed to a 9 and a 5. So that's why I chose that one. And then we solve. So negative 2 times 4 is negative 8. I'm going to add the 8 to the other side, and I'm going to divide by 3. So now I have both my numbers. Now remember, this is technically one answer because you're writing it as an ordered pair, which is just a single dot on the graph. So even though you got two numbers, it's one solution. And that solution is 2, 4. Okay. So on tonight's homework, you will need to multiply one of your equations by a number that's not the number 1. So start by figuring out which variable should you eliminate. If the variables already have different signs, you can just multiply by a positive. But if they have the same sign, you'll need to multiply by a negative version of that number. Tomorrow's video will talk about what you can do when you need to multiply both equations.